In our journey through life, the strength of our mind often determines the course we take and the challenges we overcome. While talent and skills play crucial roles, the resilience and fortitude of our mental state are what truly push us forward during difficult times. This video explores how we can harness Buddhist teachings to overcome habits that weaken the mind and cultivate a stronger, more resilient mindset. The importance of mental strength. Having a strong mind is akin to having an inner reservoir of strength, a secret power that allows us to persist even when obstacles seem insurmountable. This resilience enables us to tackle problems, pursue goals with unwavering determination, and stand firm in the face of adversity. But what are the forces that weaken our mental resolve? And how can Buddhists the central role of mindfulness in strengthening the mind? One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the practice of mindfulness, or mindful. Negative habits that weaken the mind. Habit 1. Negative thinking. Negative thinking can be likened to a dark cloud that obscures the bright sun of inner happiness. When we allow negative thoughts to dominate, they color everything around us with shades of hopelessness and despair. Over time, this habit saps our strength, clouds our perception, and makes us believe that happiness and success are impossible. Buddhist perspective on negative thinking. Buddhism teaches us to observe our thoughts with mindfulness. Instead of becoming consumed by negativity, we can recognize it without judgment, then gently shift our focus toward positivity and compassion. This practice of mindful observation allows us to clear away the dark clouds and let the sunshine of hope and resilience emerge. Example story. Consider a person burdened by self-doubt who constantly tells themselves, "I will never succeed." Through mindfulness meditation, they begin to notice these thoughts and gently challenge their validity. Gradually, they replace negative self-talk with affirmations rooted in kindness and compassion, transforming their outlook and increasing their capacity to overcome challenges. Personal insight. In my years of exploring Buddhist teachings, I have seen how shifting focus from negativity to compassion can transform a person's life. By practicing metta, loving kindness, meditation, individuals gradually replace harsh self-criticism with warm, compassionate thoughts, creating space for growth and resilience. Key teachings to overcome negative thinking. Mindfulness, observe thoughts without judgment. Meditation on loving kindness. Metta, direct positive energy toward oneself and others. Impermanence, remembering that all challenges, including negative thoughts, are temporary and ever-changing. Habit 2. Complaining about things beyond our control. Complaining about uncontrollable factors is like holding onto a burning coal. It only brings harm to ourselves. This habit weakens the mind by focusing our energy on problems instead of solutions. The more we complain, the deeper we sink into negativity, like quicksand. Buddhist wisdom on complaining. The teachings of Vo Thuong remind us that everything is subject to change. Complaining often traps us in the illusion of permanence, making us believe that problems will never improve. By accepting that life is ever-changing, we can break free from the cycle of dissatisfaction and redirect our energy toward meaningful action. Example story. A community leader once faced a major crisis that seemed insurmountable. Instead of complaining, they chose to act, drawing strength from Buddhist teachings on acceptance and change. By focusing on what they could control, they inspired others and transformed their community. Personal insight. Acceptance, in the Buddhist sense, is not about passive resignation. It is about recognizing what we cannot change and using our energy wisely. When we practice acceptance, we free ourselves from the heavy burden of complaints and open ourselves to new possibilities. Key teachings to overcome complaining. Acceptance, understand that life is full of ups and downs beyond our control. Focus on controllable aspects. Direct energy toward areas where we can make a difference. Letting go, release unnecessary burdens and complaints, creating space for positive change. Transition to the next section. As we continue, we'll explore more habits that weaken the mind and how Buddhist teachings provide a path to overcome them. Remember, cultivating a strong mind is a journey, one that requires mindfulness, compassion, and a commitment to personal growth. Stay with us as we delve deeper into transforming our mental habits and building resilience for a fulfilling life. Habit 3. Inability to express oneself. Holding back your thoughts, feelings, and ideas can be likened to having a treasure chest full of jewels, but keeping it locked away. This inability to express oneself weakens the mind because it creates internal tension, prevents connection with others, and leads to isolation. Buddhist perspective on authentic self-expression. In Buddhism, expressing oneself authentically is crucial for building a strong and healthy mental foundation. When we suppress our thoughts and emotions, it's like sealing a pressurized bottle. It will eventually burst, often manifesting as stress, anxiety, or overwhelming feelings. Chan-go, right speech, one of the elements of the Noble Eightfold Path, encourages truthful, kind, and mindful communication. By expressing ourselves thoughtfully, we create a space for understanding and connection. Example story. A monk once encountered a young disciple who was overwhelmed by frustration but refused to speak about it. After practicing Channim and Chan-gu, the disciple finally shared their thoughts and discovered that honest communication brought relief and clarity. This practice transformed their internal struggle into an opportunity for growth and understanding. Personal insight. In my experience, I have seen how powerful mindful communication can be. When we express ourselves with honesty and compassion, we bridge the gap between ourselves and others, fostering genuine connection and understanding. Key teachings to overcome this habit. Right speech. Chan-gu, communicate truthfully, kindly, and mindfully. Mindfulness. Channim, become aware of our emotions and thoughts without judgment. Nonverbal communication. Recognize that communication is not limited to words, body language, gestures, and presence are equally important. Habit 4. Blaming others for your problems. Blaming others is like trying to run a race with a heavy backpack full of stones. This habit burdens us, slows our progress, and takes away our sense of personal agency. Blaming others weakens the mind because it places control of our lives in the hands of others instead of empowering us to take charge. Buddhist insight on personal responsibility. Buddhist teachings on karma emphasize that our actions have consequences. Blaming others is a way of ignoring this law and refusing to acknowledge our role in shaping our own lives. When we blame, we become passive observers instead of active participants in our journey. Personal responsibility is about recognizing our ability to shape our experiences and making conscious, positive choices. Example story. A person who consistently blamed their failures on circumstances or others found themselves trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. When they embraced the Buddhist teaching of karma, they realized their own actions played a crucial role. By taking responsibility, they changed their behavior and transformed their life. Personal insight. Taking responsibility is liberating. It shifts the focus from external blame to internal empowerment. When we understand that our actions matter, we regain control over our destiny and build a stronger, more resilient mind. Key teachings to overcome blaming others. Karma. Engeep, recognize the impact of our actions and accept personal responsibility. Forgiveness. Letting go of resentment toward others and ourselves. Mindfulness. Becoming aware of when we fall into the habit of blaming and choosing a more empowering response. Cultivating a stronger mind through Buddhist practice. Habit 5. Daydreaming versus visualization. Daydreaming often leads us into a world of unrealistic fantasies that separate us from reality. It's like building castles in the air, beautiful but lacking a solid foundation. This habit weakens the mind because it disconnects us from the present moment and actionable goals. Buddhist perspective on visualization. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of right intention, Chantu Du Wei, and mindful visualization. Visualization is different from aimless daydreaming. It involves creating a clear mental image of achievable goals and aligning our actions with this vision. By focusing our aspirations through mindfulness, we can move closer to realizing our dreams. Example story. A young entrepreneur spent hours daydreaming about success, but took no steps toward making it a reality. Through mindfulness practice, they learned to visualize their goals with clarity and work toward them with intentionality. This shift turned their dreams into tangible achievements. Personal insight. Daydreaming can be a comforting escape, but it often leads to disappointment when reality falls short. By cultivating mindful visualization, we channel our energy toward achievable goals and bridge the gap between our aspirations and reality. Key teachings to shift from daydreaming to visualization. Right intention. Chan Tu Du Wei, focus your energy on realistic and meaningful goals. Mindfulness. Chan Nim, be present in the moment while working toward your vision. Adaptability. Embrace change and adjust your path as needed. Recognizing the impermanence, Vo Thuong, of all things. Habit 6. Neglecting personal relationships. Neglecting personal relationships is like having a garden but forgetting to water the plants. Over time, everything withers. This habit weakens the mind because humans are social creatures who draw strength, joy, and support from meaningful connections. Isolation leaves us vulnerable to mental and emotional challenges. Buddhist wisdom on connection. Buddhism places great emphasis on compassion, presence, and the Sangha, community. When we neglect our relationships, it's as if we shut ourselves off from the warmth and support that others can offer. Building and nurturing connections requires effort, but it brings immense rewards. Example story. A busy professional neglected their family relationships in pursuit of success. Over time, they felt isolated and unfulfilled. By practicing mindful presence and dedicating time to loved ones, they rebuilt these connections, finding renewed strength and joy in their relationships. Personal insight. Investing time and effort into meaningful relationships is like tending to a garden. With care and presence, these connections flourish, providing a strong support system during challenging times. Key teachings to overcome this habit. Presence. Be fully present with loved ones, offering your undivided attention. Compassion. Cultivate love and empathy in relationships. Acceptance of impermanence. Recognize the fleeting nature of time and cherish moments with those you care about. Transition to the next section. As we continue, we will explore more habits that weaken the mind and the transformative power of Buddhist teachings to strengthen and empower our mental resilience. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into practical applications, reflections, and stories that illustrate how these teachings can transform our lives. Habit 7. Letting emotions control you. When emotions take over, it feels like being swept away by a powerful current, leaving us without direction or control. This habit weakens the mind because uncontrolled emotions can be overwhelming and make us lose our sense of balance and clarity. Buddhist insight on emotional regulation. Buddhism teaches us to observe our emotions with mindfulness rather than be consumed by them. This practice is similar to standing on the riverbank, watching the water flow without being swept away. Emotions are natural and arise in all of us, but we can learn to acknowledge them without letting them dictate our actions. By cultivating emotional intelligence through mindfulness, we can develop the ability to understand and manage our own emotions while showing empathy toward others. Example story. A person prone to anger would often lash out impulsively, damaging relationships and creating regret. Through the practice of Channim, mindfulness, they learn to pause, observe their anger, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. This shift transformed their relationships and allowed them to navigate challenging situations with greater calm and clarity. Personal insight. I have witnessed how transformative mindfulness can be in moments of intense emotion. By pausing and becoming aware of our feelings, we regain control and avoid being swept away by the tide of emotion. This practice strengthens the mind by fostering resilience and wise decision-making. Key teachings to overcome emotional overwhelm. Mindfulness. Channim, observe emotions without judgment, allowing space for thoughtful responses. Equanimity. Upeksha, cultivate a balanced state of mind that is neither overly attached nor averse to emotions. Loving kindness. Metta, show compassion toward oneself and others, even in moments of intense emotion. Habit 8. Trying to control everything. The desire to control every aspect of life is like trying to juggle too many balls at once. It becomes exhausting, and eventually, everything falls apart. This habit weakens the mind by creating frustration and a sense of helplessness when things don't go as planned. Buddhist perspective on letting go of control. Buddhism teaches the concept of vo chap, non-attachment, which involves letting go of the illusion of control. Life is constantly changing, and we cannot dictate every outcome. By recognizing our limitations and focusing on what we can influence, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and disappointment. Example story. A business owner who tried to micromanage every detail of their company faced constant stress and burnout. Through Buddhist teachings, they learned to delegate, trust their team, and focus on the aspects they could genuinely influence. This change not only improved their well-being, but also led to a more harmonious and successful workplace. Personal insight. Letting go of control does not mean giving up. It means accepting that some things are beyond our influence. By embracing this paradox, we find greater peace and strength to face life's challenges. Key teachings to let go of control. Non-attachment. ValueGodl released the need to control everything and accept the natural flow of life. Mindful focus. Concentrate on what you can change and let go of what you cannot. Acceptance. Chapman recognized that change and uncertainty are inherent parts of life. Habit 9. Dwelling on the past. Constantly dwelling on the past is like carrying a heavy backpack full of old memories. It slows us down and prevents us from fully experiencing the present. This habit weakens the mind by keeping us stuck in what was, rather than embracing what is. Buddhist teachings on letting go of the past. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment. The past is gone, and clinging to it only creates suffering. Channim, mindfulness, helps us acknowledge past experiences without becoming trapped by them. Forgiveness is also a powerful practice that allows us to release old wounds and move forward with clarity and peace. Example story. A person haunted by past mistakes struggled with guilt and regret. Through mindfulness and self-compassion, they learned to accept their past, forgive themselves, and focus on creating a better future. This transformation lightened their mental burden and gave them the strength to move forward. Personal insight. I have seen how powerful self-forgiveness can be. Holding on to past mistakes only weighs us down, while letting go opens the door to new possibilities. By embracing impermanence, we can release the past and create a more meaningful present. Key teachings to move beyond the past. Mindfulness. Channim focus on the present moment and let go of past attachments. Forgiveness. The Thursday release resentment and guilt toward others and oneself. Impermanence. Vothwang recognize that all things, including our past experiences, are constantly changing. Habit 10. Worrying about what others think. Worrying about the opinions of others is like carrying a heavy load of expectations. This habit weakens the mind because it ties our self-worth to external judgments, leaving us vulnerable to criticism and praise alike. Buddhist insight on self-worth and authenticity. Buddhism teaches the importance of equanimity, upeksha, maintaining balance regardless of praise or blame. By cultivating self-acceptance and authenticity, we become less dependent on the approval of others and more rooted in our own values and beliefs. Example story. An artist who constantly sought validation from others found themselves paralyzed by fear of judgment. Through Buddhist practice, they learned to create from a place of authenticity and self-compassion, freeing themselves from the need for external approval. Personal insight. Worrying about what others think is a common struggle, but true freedom comes from embracing who we are. By letting go of the need for constant validation, we can live authentically and with greater confidence. Key teachings to overcome worrying about others' opinions. Equanimity. Upeksha maintain balance in the face of praise and criticism. Mindful self-awareness. Recognize when you are seeking approval and refocus on your own values. Authenticity. Embrace your true self without fear of judgment. Final reflection for this section. As we conclude this part of our journey, remember that cultivating a strong mind requires awareness, compassion, and a willingness to change old habits. By integrating Buddhist teachings into our daily lives, we can transform negative patterns into sources of strength and resilience. Stay tuned as we continue to explore practical applications and stories that illustrate how these timeless teachings can empower us to live with purpose and authenticity. Habit 11. Overindulging in fantasy instead of reality. Spending too much time lost in fantasy can detach us from reality, like building castles in the air that have no foundation. This habit weakens the mind because it distracts us from the present moment and the practical steps needed to achieve our goals. Buddhist perspective on balancing imagination and reality. Buddhism emphasizes living in the present moment, Channim, while aligning our actions with right intention, Chantu Du Wei. Imagination is not inherently negative. It can be a source of inspiration and creativity, but it becomes harmful when it pulls us away from reality. By practicing mindfulness, we can balance creativity with practical, grounded steps toward achieving our aspirations. Example story. A young student dreamed of becoming a great musician but spent all their time fantasizing about fame without practicing. Through the guidance of a Buddhist teacher, they learned to visualize their success while dedicating themselves to daily mindful practice. This grounded approach helped them turn their dreams into reality. Personal insight. I have encountered many people who feel stuck because their dreams remain in the realm of fantasy. By combining visualization with mindful action, we can create meaningful change and build a strong foundation for success. Key teachings to balance fantasy and reality. Mindfulness. Channim, stay present and take meaningful action. Right intention. Chantu Du Wei, align your goals with your values. Visualization versus fantasy. Use visualization to guide your actions, not as an escape from reality. Habit 12. Neglecting self-care. Neglecting self-care is like trying to pour water from an empty cup. It eventually leaves us drained and incapable of helping ourselves or others. This habit weakens the mind and body, leading to burnout, stress, and diminished resilience. Buddhist insight on self-care and compassion. Buddhism teaches the importance of metta, loving kindness, toward oneself. Self-compassion is not selfish. It is essential for building strength and resilience. Just as we care for others with love and kindness, we must extend the same compassion to ourselves. By nurturing our own well-being, we can show up fully in our relationships and responsibilities. Example story. A caregiver who tirelessly looked after others neglected their own health and happiness, eventually facing burnout. By practicing loving kindness meditation and setting boundaries, they learned to care for themselves. This renewed their energy and strengthened their ability to support others. Personal insight. In my experience, self-care is often misunderstood as indulgence, but it is a fundamental aspect of maintaining a strong mind and heart. By caring for ourselves, we create a foundation of strength and compassion that benefits everyone around us. Key teachings for self-care. Loving kindness. Metta, cultivate compassion for yourself as you would for others. Mindful presence. Prioritize activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Balance. Recognize when to give and when to replenish. Habit 13. Holding on to resentment. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. This habit weakens the mind by keeping us trapped in bitterness and prevents us from experiencing peace. Buddhist practice of forgiveness. Buddhism emphasizes the practice of forgiveness, the Thursday, as a means of freeing ourselves from the chains of resentment. Letting go of grudges does not mean condoning harmful actions. It means releasing the emotional burden they create. By forgiving others and ourselves, we create space for healing and growth. Example story. A person who had been wronged held on to their anger for years, allowing it to consume their thoughts. Through Buddhist teachings, they learned to forgive, not for the benefit of the person who hurt them, but to liberate themselves from suffering. This act of forgiveness brought a sense of peace and freedom. Personal insight. Forgiveness is one of the most challenging yet transformative practices. When we let go of resentment, we release the grip of the past and open ourselves to healing and renewal. Key teachings for letting go of resentment. Forgiveness. The Thursday, release resentment to free yourself from suffering. Mindfulness. Channim, acknowledge your feelings without becoming attached to them. Compassion. Metta, cultivate empathy for yourself and others. Habit 14. Seeking external validation. Constantly seeking validation from others is like trying to fill a bottomless well. It can never be fully satisfied. This habit weakens the mind because it ties our self-worth to external opinions, leaving us vulnerable to praise and criticism. Buddhist wisdom on self-worth and inner validation. Buddhism teaches the importance of self-acceptance and equanimity upeksha. By cultivating inner confidence and valuing ourselves independently of external approval, we become more resilient and grounded in our true nature. Example story. An artist who craved recognition found themselves paralyzed by fear of criticism. Through Buddhist practice, they learned to create art from a place of authenticity, embracing their unique voice and finding fulfillment within themselves rather than through external validation. Personal insight. True freedom comes from valuing ourselves as we are, not as others perceive us. When we let go of the need for constant approval, we cultivate a strong, unshakable sense of self-worth. Key teachings to overcome seeking external validation. Equanimity. Upeksha, remain balanced in the face of praise and criticism. Authenticity. Embrace your true self without fear of judgment. Mindful self-acceptance. Value yourself independently of others' opinions. Habit 15. Fear of failure. Fear of failure can be paralyzing, preventing us from taking risks or pursuing our dreams. This habit weakens the mind by creating self-doubt and limiting our potential. Buddhist perspective on failure. Buddhism views failure as a natural part of life and a valuable teacher. Impermanence, Vo Thuong, reminds us that nothing is permanent, including our mistakes. By embracing failure as an opportunity for growth, we can transform fear into resilience. Example story. An entrepreneur faced a significant business setback and felt like a failure. Through Buddhist teachings, they reframed the experience as a learning opportunity, emerging stronger and more determined. Personal insight. Failure is not the end. It is a stepping stone to growth. By embracing our mistakes, we build resilience and the courage to keep moving forward. Key teachings to overcome fear of failure. Impermanence. Recognize that failure is temporary and changeable. Resilience. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Mindfulness. Observe fear without being consumed by it, continuing the journey of inner strength. As we move forward, remember that cultivating a strong mind is a lifelong journey. Buddhist teachings offer a path to transform negative habits into sources of resilience and empowerment. Stay with us as we explore practical tools, stories, and insights to build a mind that is unshakable, compassionate, and deeply rooted in wisdom. Habit 16. Over-identifying with thoughts and emotions. When we over-identify with our thoughts and emotions, we allow them to define us completely, like mistaking passing clouds for the entire sky. This habit weakens the mind by making us react impulsively, lose perspective, and become trapped in cycles of negative thinking. Buddhist practice of non-identification. Buddhism teaches us that our thoughts and emotions are impermanent and do not define our true self. The practice of mindfulness, Channim, helps us observe our thoughts and feelings without attachment or identification. By cultivating this awareness, we can step back, recognize our thoughts for what they are, temporary mental phenomena, and regain control over our reactions. Example story. A person prone to anxiety felt overwhelmed whenever negative thoughts arose. Through mindfulness meditation, they learned to observe their thoughts as passing clouds. This practice created space between their awareness and their thoughts, allowing them to respond calmly and rationally instead of being swept away by anxiety. Personal insight. We are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them. By disidentifying from our thoughts, we gain the freedom to choose how we respond, transforming reactive habits into mindful actions. Key teachings to overcome over-identification. Mindfulness. Channim, observe thoughts and emotions without attachment or judgment. Non-self. Vo Na, understand that thoughts and emotions are not our true essence. Equanimity. Upeksha, cultivate a balanced mind that remains steady amidst emotional fluctuations. Habit 17. Overthinking and analysis paralysis. Overthinking is like spinning the wheels of a car without moving forward. This habit weakens the mind by creating mental exhaustion, indecision, and a lack of action. Buddhist insight on simplifying the mind. Buddhism encourages simplicity and mindfulness to quiet the chatter of the mind. By focusing on the present moment and letting go of excessive mental rumination, we can break free from the cycle of overthinking. The practice of single-pointed concentration, samadhi, helps anchor the mind and brings clarity to our thoughts. Example story. A person who constantly second-guessed their decisions found themselves stuck in inaction. Through meditation and mindfulness practices, they learned to quiet their mind, make clear decisions, and move forward with confidence. Personal insight. Overthinking often stems from fear of making mistakes. By grounding ourselves in the present moment, we can trust our intuition and act with clarity, freeing the mind from endless loops of doubt. Key teachings to overcome overthinking. Single-pointed concentration, samadhi, focus the mind to reduce mental clutter. Mindfulness, chanting stay present instead of being consumed by hypothetical scenarios. Letting go, buong bo release the need for perfect answers and accept the uncertainty of life. Habit 18. Fear of change. Resisting change is like trying to hold back the tide. It creates tension, stress, and a rigid mind. This habit weakens us by preventing growth and adaptation. Buddhist wisdom on embracing change. Buddhism teaches impermanence, vo thuong. Everything in life is in constant flux. By embracing change, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes with clinging to the familiar. Change becomes an opportunity for growth, not a threat to our stability. Example story. A person who feared changing careers felt trapped in a job that made them unhappy. Through Buddhist practice, they learned to accept change as a natural part of life, ultimately finding the courage to pursue a more fulfilling path. Personal insight. Change can be uncomfortable, but it is also a gateway to new opportunities. When we accept impermanence, we develop the flexibility and resilience to navigate life's transitions with grace. Key teachings to embrace change. Impermanence. Vo thuong recognize that change is inevitable and can lead to growth. Mindfulness. Chanting stay present and adapt to life's shifts with awareness. Non-attachment. Vo chap let go of clinging to the past and embrace the unfolding present. Habit 19. Comparing yourself to others. Constantly comparing yourself to others is like measuring your worth with someone else's yardstick. This habit weakens the mind by fostering jealousy, insecurity, and a lack of self-confidence. Buddhist practice of contentment and self-compassion. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate mudita, sympathetic joy, rejoicing in the happiness and success of others. By practicing contentment and self-compassion, we can free ourselves from the cycle of comparison and appreciate our own unique journey. Example story. A person who constantly compared their achievements to those of their peers felt inadequate. By practicing mudita and self-compassion, they learned to celebrate the successes of others and find joy in their own progress. Personal insight. Comparison robs us of joy and peace. When we focus on our own growth and practice gratitude for what we have, we cultivate a strong, confident mind. Key teachings to overcome comparison. Mudita, sympathetic joy, rejoice in the success of others. Contentment, try to find satisfaction in your own life and progress. Self-compassion, to by voiban then treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Habit 20. Resisting vulnerability. Resisting vulnerability is like building walls around your heart to protect yourself from pain, but it also keeps out joy and connection. This habit weakens the mind by creating isolation and a fear of genuine connection. Buddhist insight on embracing vulnerability. Buddhism teaches the value of authenticity and connection through compassion. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strength that allows us to connect deeply with others. By practicing metta, loving kindness, and opening ourselves to others, we develop resilience and a compassionate heart. Example story. A person who feared opening up to others due to past hurt found themselves lonely and disconnected. Through Buddhist practices, they learned to embrace vulnerability with courage and compassion, leading to deeper and more meaningful relationships. Personal insight. Vulnerability is the doorway to connection. When we open our hearts, we create space for authentic relationships and personal growth, building a resilient and compassionate mind. Key teachings to embrace vulnerability. Loving kindness. Metta, open your heart to yourself and others. Compassion. 2. By embrace the shared humanity of vulnerability. Authenticity. Be true to yourself and allow genuine connections to form. Conclusion. Building a resilient and compassionate mind. As we conclude this exploration of habits that weaken the mind, remember that transformation is a journey. Buddhist teachings offer profound tools to break negative patterns, cultivate resilience, and live with authenticity, compassion, and purpose. By integrating mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom into our daily lives, we build a mind that is strong, adaptable, and deeply rooted in peace. Key reflections and lessons learned. 1. The power of mindfulness. Chan Neem. Mindfulness is a central pillar of Buddhist practice, offering a means to observe our thoughts, emotions, and habits without becoming entangled in them. It allows us to break free from the grip of negative patterns and respond to life with clarity and wisdom. Lesson. By practicing mindfulness, we gain a deeper awareness of our mental states and the freedom to choose our responses. This awareness transforms reactivity into mindful action. Practical application. Dedicate a few minutes each day to mindfulness meditation. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, and observe your thoughts without judgment. With time, this practice will help you respond to life's challenges with greater calm and presence. 2. Acceptance and letting go. Chapnan Va Buong Bo. Holding on to control, resentment, or attachment can lead to mental suffering. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of letting go and accepting life's inherent impermanence. Lesson. When we accept that change is constant and beyond our control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Letting go of attachment creates space for peace and growth. Practical application. Practice letting go of small things each day, such as expectations or grudges. Remind yourself of the teaching on impermanence, Vo Thuong, and observe how letting go lightens your mental load. 3. Compassion and self-compassion. 2 by Va Tu by Voi Ban Then. Compassion is the heart of Buddhist practice, fostering connection, healing, and resilience. Self-compassion is equally vital, allowing us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. Lesson. Compassion for ourselves and others creates a strong, resilient mind capable of navigating life's challenges with grace. Practical application. Practice metta, loving kindness, meditation by sending thoughts of love and compassion to yourself, loved ones, and even those you find challenging. This practice strengthens your heart and mind. 4. Living authentically and letting go of comparisons. Constant comparison to others weakens our self-worth and creates dissatisfaction. By embracing our unique journey and practicing mudita, sympathetic joy, we cultivate a mind rooted in confidence and gratitude. Lesson. Your worth is not determined by others' opinions or achievements. Embrace your path with authenticity and joy. Practical application. Reflect on your accomplishments and values each day. Celebrate the successes of others as well as your own, cultivating a mindset of gratitude and joy. 5. Embracing vulnerability and building meaningful connections. Vulnerability allows us to connect deeply with others and foster meaningful relationships. By embracing our authentic selves and practicing compassion, we build resilience and inner strength. Lesson. Vulnerability is not a weakness but a gateway to authentic connection and growth. Practical application. Take small steps to open up to trusted friends or loved ones. Share your thoughts and feelings honestly, and practice listening with empathy. A final story for reflection. There was once a wise monk who lived atop a mountain. People traveled far and wide to seek his counsel on life's challenges. One day, a man burdened by fear and doubt climbed the mountain, hoping to find answers. "Master," he said, "I am paralyzed by my fears. They haunt me and prevent me from living fully." The monk listened patiently and then handed the man a cup. "Hold this cup," he said, "and imagine it is your fear. Grip it tightly." The man held the cup tightly, and the longer he held it, the heavier it felt. "Master, my arm is tired," he said. The monk replied, "Then let it go." The man released the cup, and relief washed over him. The monk smiled and said, "You see, it is not the cup that causes suffering but the act of holding on. Let go, and you will be free." Final takeaway and call to action. As we conclude this exploration of Buddhist teachings for cultivating a strong mind, remember that transformation begins with awareness, compassion, and a willingness to change. The journey toward mental strength is a daily practice, one that requires patience, persistence, and self-kindness. By integrating these teachings into your life, you can overcome habits that weaken the mind and build a foundation of resilience, peace, and joy. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found these teachings helpful, consider sharing them with others and incorporating them into your daily practice. Together, let's continue to cultivate a strong, compassionate, and mindful mind